Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here is, well, it's to cut through all that information overload.
Right, get straight to the good stuff.
Exactly. Unearth those surprising nuggets, the practical insights.
Custom tailored.
Custom tailored just for you. And today we're taking a deep dive into strategies for improving English listening and speaking.
Yeah, a common challenge, definitely one we hear about a lot.
It really is. It's that classic scenario, isn't it? You might feel pretty comfortable reading and writing in English.
Mm-hmm. You've got that down.
But then you try to understand a conversation or speak yourself.
And it suddenly feels much harder, like a steep climb, as you said.
Totally. You're definitely not alone if that feels familiar. So our aim here is to give you some, aha moments.
Yeah, maybe some surprising facts, but definitely actionable steps.
Things you can weave into your daily life, basically, to build up that confidence.
And that feeling, that gap between reading and listening, speaking, it points to something really fundamental,
Which is
how absolutely foundational listening is. It's the bedrock for developing natural-sounding English speaking.
okay.
See, when we listen, it's not just about understanding words. It's more like retraining our brain
Retraining how?
to map the music of English. The stress, the rhythm, how sounds blur together or change.
Ah, right. Not just individual sounds.
Exactly. Without building that complex sound map, that sort of phonetic blueprint in your head through listening,
Your speaking just won't sound quite right.
it won't sound natural, it won't feel effortless. It often sounds a bit, well, stilted.
That makes so much sense. It really reminds me of how babies learn their first language. They just listen for months, sometimes years, soaking it all in,
Immersed in sound.
before they even try to say mama or dada.
Precisely. And language learners honestly should try to copy that.
Adopt that same approach.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Listen first, really focusing on absorbing the sounds, then speak. It's a crucial sequence, but one that often gets overlooked.
Okay, so listening is step one, foundational. If someone wants to build that habit, what's a practical way to do it, like day to day?
Right, something actionable. I usually recommend what you could call active listening practice.
Active listening. Okay.
Pick something short, a podcast clip, maybe a YouTube video, something you actually find interesting. That helps.
Good point. Keep it engaging.
Then listen once, just straight through. No subtitles. Just get the gist.
Okay, first pass.
Then go back, listen again, but with the English subtitles this time.
Ah, so you connect the sounds to the words.
Exactly. You see how those spoken sounds actually look on the page? And then the final step, and this is really key,
What's that?
pause the audio or video and repeat the sentences out loud.
Ah, the shadowing technique?
Mimic everything. The pronunciation, yeah, but also the rhythm, the intonation, the ups and downs.
That repeating thing really clicks with me. When I was learning Spanish, I used to sing along to songs all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just listening, pausing, trying to copy the singer. It felt like it helped my rhythm and, well, my confidence too.
That's a fantastic example. Singing is great for that. And from a learning science perspective.
Yeah, what's actually going on in the brain there? Why is mimicking so effective?
Well, when you mimic or shadow, your brain isn't just passively receiving sound anymore.
Right, is doing something.
It's actively engaging the motor parts, the bits connected to actually speaking.
Yeah.
You're building new neural pathway.
Pathways connecting sound to mouth movements.
Pretty much. Connecting what you hear directly to the muscles in your mouth, your tongue. It's like building muscle memory, but for sounds.
Huh, muscle memory for sounds. I like that.
And that's why your pronunciation, your rhythm, your flow, it all improves, often quite dramatically.
Okay. Which brings us back to that really common frustration we mentioned earlier.
Right. I can read it fine, but I can't understand when people talk.
Yes, that exact feeling. Why is spoken English so much harder to grasp than written English for so many people?
Well, there are a few key things going on. Spoken English isn't just fast.
Although it often feels incredibly fast.
It does, but it's also very fluid. Words don't stay separate like they do on a page. They blend.
They connect together.
Yeah, sounds get dropped, others merge. The classic example, going to becomes gonna.
Sure.
But think about other ones too, like pick it up. Often sounds more like picky tup.
Right, the tet-tie sounds change.
Or how and just becomes a little and sound sometimes, like in rock and roll or fish and chip.
Okay, yeah. You don't consciously notice that when you're reading.
Exactly. Your ear has to learn to decode all these quick, often reduced forms. It's a totally different skill set than recognizing separate words on a page.
So it's about training the ear for these patterns.
It is. And the main thing to remember, really, is that it's completely normal to miss words. Totally fine.
That's reassuring.
Your main goal, especially at the start, shouldn't be catching every single word. Just try to get the main idea, the gist.
Don't sweat the small stuff immediately. Focus on the big picture.
You got it. Which actually leads nicely into the speaking side of things. Because understanding is one hurdle, but then speaking yourself.
Oh, yeah. The shyness, the nervousness. So many learners feel that. That fear of making mistakes.
It's incredibly common.
Yeah.
And totally natural. But often, that fear is a much bigger barrier than any actual mistakes you might make.
That's an interesting point. The fear is the real problem.
Think about it this way. A little kid learning to talk makes, I don't know, thousands of mistakes,
Like
right?
constantly.
But we never say they're failing. They're just learning, trying things out, iterating.
Good way to put it. Iterating.
Mistakes aren't failures. They're just data points. Essential data for your brains, like learning algorithm.
So the goal isn't perfection.
Not at all. Your goal when you speak English is communication. Simple as that.
Did the other person understand you?
Exactly. If they got your message, you succeeded. Full stop. You don't need perfect grammar for that or flawless pronunciation.
It's about being understood, not being perfect.
Precisely. So the key is just to start. Start small, maybe, but don't wait until you think your grammar is perfect because, well,
You might be waiting a long time.
you might. Just begin. Every single time you try, that's progress.
Okay, so communicate. Don't aim for perfection. Start now. But what if someone says, I don't have anyone to practice with?
The practice partner problem. Very common.
How can they practice speaking effectively on their own?
You absolutely can practice alone, and effectively too. A really simple way is just talk to yourself. Narrate your day.
Like out loud.
Out loud, yeah. As you're doing things. Okay, making coffee now. First, I need to get the filter.
I'm walking to the bus stop. It looks like it might rain. That kind of thing.
Exactly that kind of thing. It gets you used to forming English sentences about your immediate reality.
Makes sense. Any other solo techniques?
Recording yourself is incredibly powerful
Oh, interesting. Why is that so good?
because we often don't hear our own mistakes while we're speaking. Our brain kind of filters them out.
But when you listen back to a recording,
Suddenly, you notice things. Maybe a pronunciation issue or a grammar mistake you keep making. It's like getting instant unbiased feedback.
a bit cringy maybe, listening to yourself, but useful.
It can be a little cringy at first, yeah.
Yeah.
But super useful. And look, nowadays, technology is just a massive help here.
Oh, definitely. Language apps, YouTube, podcasts.
It's like having free teachers available 24/7. They're incredibly patient, too.
Right. You can replay that bit you didn't understand 50 times.
Exactly. And there are so many tools. You can listen to podcasts specifically made with slightly slower English.
Good for beginners.
Or watch videos. Maybe start with the subtitles on to build your understanding.
And then turn them off later.
Yeah, gradually challenge yourself. And there are online voice recognition tools now, too.
Oh, for pronunciation checks.
You say a phrase, and the tool tells you how clear you were. Some even pinpoint specific sounds you need to work on.
Wow, that's handy. Like having a pronunciation coach.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Plus things like, flashcard apps like Anki for vocab, or even AI tutors you can have basic conversations with. The tech options are amazing.
It's a different world for learners now, which actually brings us to a really cool story about repetition.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard about this student. She decided she was going to listen to the same episode of an English TV show.
Just one episode.
One episode every single night for a whole month.
Wow, dedication. What happened?
Well, apparently when she started, she could only understand maybe like 20% of it. She said it was super frustrating, but she stuck with it. And after that month of nightly repetition,
Yeah.
she could understand 70% of the show.
Whoa, from 20 to 70% just from repetition.
Just from repetition. Her brain had simply gotten used to the sounds, the patterns, the actors' voices. It wasn't conscious study, just immersion.
That's incredible. It really shows how repetition works on the brain, doesn't it? It's not just about memorizing words.
It's about familiarity, making the sounds less foreign.
It creates these, deep pathways in your brain. Recognition becomes almost automatic instead of a struggle. It makes you wonder, how much could focused repetition speed up learning in other areas too?
Good question. So repetition is powerful, self-practice is possible, but what about practicing with others?
Ah, yes, finding speaking partners. That's another excellent route.
Could be a friend who's also learning, maybe a teacher, or even finding people online, right?
Definitely. Language exchange, websites, apps. There are lots of ways to connect with other learners or native speakers.
And what about people who feel really shy? Maybe one-on-one feels too intense.
That's where group practice can be fantastic. Less pressure.
How so?
Well, when you're in a group, you quickly see that everyone is learning.
Uh-huh.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Ah, it normalizes it. You're all in the same boat.
Exactly. It takes the spotlight off you individually, creates more of a shared, supportive vibe.
Plus, group chats can be just more fun, right? Talking about everyday stuff, movies, hobbies.
Yeah, it makes it feel less like practice and
Mm-hmm.
more like just chatting, connecting with people,
Yeah.
which is often the whole point anyway.
True. Talking about shyness, I definitely felt that when I was learning Spanish.
Oh, really? You were nervous?
Oh, absolutely. Especially at the beginning. I was so worried about making mistakes, sounding stupid, people not understanding me.
Yeah, that's a common fear. How did you get past it?
Honestly, I think it was just deciding to accept that mistakes were okay. Like, not just okay, but necessary.
Part of the process.
Exactly, part of collecting that data, like you said earlier. Once I stopped aiming for perfection and just focused on communicating, however imperfectly,
Your confidence grew.
it really did. It felt like a weight lifted. It became about progress, not perfection.
That's such a key shift in mindset. And it applies way beyond language learning, doesn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, the idea that courage comes from doing the thing, from
Yeah.
practicing, even when you're imperfect.
Not from waiting until you feel perfectly ready or confident.
Right. You don't wait for courage, you build it through action.
Yeah.
Taking those small, maybe slightly uncomfortable steps, that's where the real growth happens, in anything.
Small steps, consistently.
Yeah.
So let's bring this all together into something really practical. A daily routine someone could actually stick to.
Okay. Keep it simple, keep it manageable.
How about, say, 20 minutes a day total? That feels doable for most people.
About 20 minutes. Yeah, absolutely doable. A great split could be 10 minutes focused listening.
Like that podcast clip or
Yeah.
video we talked about,
Exactly. And then 10 minutes of active speaking practice.
which could be that shadowing, mimicking what you hear,
Or the self-talk, narrating your actions.
or recording yourself and listening back.
any of those. 10 minutes listening, 10 minutes speaking, 20 minutes total, boom.
And if someone has a really busy day, even 5 minutes.
Oh, absolutely. Even 5 minutes consistently is way better than doing nothing.
Consistency is the magic ingredient.
It really is. Little and often beats long, infrequent sessions every single time. It builds the habit, keeps the language fresh in your mind.
Makes total sense. And one last thing we should probably touch on.
What's that?
Making it fun. Learning doesn't have to feel like a chore, right?
Oh, crucial point. Yes. If it feels like drudgery, you're just not going to stick with it.
So how can people inject some fun?
Well, we mentioned singing along to songs. That's fun.
Definitely.
Or maybe repeating funny or cool lines from movies you love, acting them out a bit.
Yeah. Or playing video games in English, maybe, if you're into that.
Great idea. Anything that makes it feel enjoyable, less like formal study. Find what you genuinely like doing.
Because the fun factor keeps you motivated.
Exactly. If you're enjoying it, you'll keep doing it. And if you keep doing it, you'll improve. Consistency becomes almost effortless then.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, if we had to boil it down,
The core advice.
listen carefully, actively,
Speak bravely. Don't fear mistakes.
and practice daily, consistently.
That's pretty much it. Listen, speak, repeat.
Yeah.
And remember, mistakes aren't failures.
They're just steps on the path. Focus on your progress, however small it feels day to day.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We really hope these tips give you some practical tools, maybe a bit of renewed confidence for your English journey.
Definitely. And maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over after this deep dive.
Okay.
If getting good at something complex, like a new language, really boils down to these consistent, small efforts and having the courage to be imperfect while you learn,
Yeah.
what other big goals in your life might suddenly feel more achievable if you applied those same principles? That idea of persistent practice and just accepting the learning process, messiness and all.
That's a great question to ponder. Persistence and embracing imperfection. Powerful combo.